So Professor X's ex-girlfriend is kidnapping mutants. I know it sounds weird. And when you see who it is, you're going to be like, what in the world is going on here? How did this happen? And I promise you guys, it's pretty wild. But welcome back to Keepin It Comic here. And we're picking up on one of the many new X-Men series here with Uncanny X Men issues number 1 and 2. Now, if you're not caught up here with Uncanny X Men, let me just kind of give you a quick rundown of some stuff here. So the new Uncanny X Men team right now is Rogue, Gambit, and Wolverine. Now, Rogue is still working on trying to recruit a couple other members here. She's trying to work to get Nightcrawler on her team. She did try to reach out to Kitty Pryde here, but Kitty Pryde hard rejected that request. Although Kitty is in her own new series right now called Exceptional X-Men, which actually had a pretty good start as well. Now, after the end of Krakoa, right, these three, they met up in Mexico City. They were able to defeat Sudorang, the God Snake, which gave them the Eye of Agamotto. Now, back in Westchester County, New York, Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, well, the name has been changed. It's now called Grymalkin Prison, which is now a prison for mutants. It is believed that Professor Charles Xavier is the very first prisoner that is there. So the prison right now is being run by Karina Ellis, who was a doctor who was previously known for holding mutants hostage. So not a surprise here that she would be running this prison. Now, one of the first things that she requested was for Cerebro to be burned to the ground, and she is going to be the major antagonist here throughout this entire series. Also, there seems to be a mysterious creature right now looking for and kidnapping mutants, aka Professor X's ex-girlfriend. Listen, we're still going to talk about her a little bit later on. We saw her kidnap a mutant named Fawn, and as we continue to go throughout the story here a little bit later on, we're going to kind of unravel who this is. Now, after the three Uncanny X-Men got the Eye of Agamotto, later they head to Louisiana to find a place where they could stay. Now, while they were outside camping, there was a group of young teenagers that came out of the woods, right, and freaked them out. But ultimately, what they were doing here, these teenagers, that they were asking for help because they were saying she, referring to the one kidnapping mutants, she is after them. So Rogue and the crew, they're reluctant to help, right? And I gotta say that this part was a little bit off-putting if you ask me, because the X-Men, they were rather aggressive, which to me, there was really kind of no reason for it, right? Gambit is threatening to use the Eye of Agamotto, which of course he got from Sudorang. Wolverine gets up into the face of one of the kids, and the kid is just kind of like, you can tell he's a little bit awkward. He's like, or like awkward in the moment, because he's like, yo, can you kind of like back off? Like, seriously, like, don't touch me. So then like Gambit, he blasts the kid with the Eye of Agamotto for once again what seems like no real reason. I guess he didn't like how the kid was talking to Wolverine and wanted to kind of like show him that he meant business. But like, I remind you again, guys, these kids are begging for help. That's what they came there for. So then a fight breaks out, right? Because dude who got blasted, he was like, okay, well, if you want to act like this, let's do this then. So he decks Wolverine directly in the face, which to me is the proper response. So Rogue is like, everybody settle down. Like she wasn't kind of being like slightly aggressive or somewhat standoffish in the first place anyways to kind of lead to this point. So one of the kids talks to her Pegasus horse and she says, see, Ember, they're mean, just like Mother said, goblins, and then shouts a little bit later on, Pegasus Knight, and then she flies off to attack them. It just kind of sounded kind of corny, that's all, guys. So then this other girl, she is set to fight Gambit, right? And Gambit is threatening her. He's like, hey, I'll throw my cards at you, which once again is just funny. Hey, can you imagine getting into a fight and be like, hey, I'm gonna throw cards at you? I get it, we know his powers, but it just still sounds funny. So she does her impression here of like Equalizer, and she sets her watch to like 1 minute, and then she says focus, and then she starts going on super speed here to attacking Gambit. Either way, man, she just like kicks the crap out of Gambit here. And then Rogue, she's getting handled by Pegasus girl. Rogue is like, yo, how are we losing to these kids? And to me, I'm like, well, it's probably karma. It's probably karma because y'all were being a-holes to these kids for no reason at all. So this other kid, right, starts getting real weird to Logan, and he tells Logan, he's like, I'm having a cyanide dream, which is real creepy. And he starts taunting him like, oh, Mr. Logan, you have killed so many people. They missed you so. So Rogue, she starts to turn the tables, right? She starts to get the upper hand here. She knocks homegirl off of the horse, and then one of her friends yells, Calico. So now we know what her name is. I got you, I got you. But then Wolverine's like, nah, no you don't. So he comes back and he decks that dude in the face. So then he falls to the ground, and then the girl, she falls on her ass as well. And then Gambit somehow flips the other girl over, the focus girl over. So it's like, I guess, yay, they won, right? As they should have the first time. It probably shouldn't have even been a fight in the first place. So then this girl comes out of nowhere, right? And then fires some sparks up into the air. And then we see like what looks like fireworks, the rainbow sparks. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's Jubilee. So then she says, everyone leaves everyone alone. Yes, it was Jubilee. So she effectively stops the fight. Now, apparently Jubilee, she's coming from doing some recon here on the Grymalkin Prison, which later on prompts Rogue to call Cyclops because she thinks that they should do something about what Jubilee saw over at the Grymalkin Prison, because she mentions to Cyclops on the phone, she's like, you know, Charles is in there, which is something that Jubilee must have told her. And then she said there are other mutants that are in there as well. So Cyclops tells her, he's like, listen, stand down and please just trust me. I have a plan. Like, Anna Marie, I got a plan. And also he's trying to basically say to as well, like, we don't really have enough information, enough data yet to make a move. So we really should kind of just slow our rolls here as this goes on, right? So then after the call, Rogue finally realizes that, like, hey, I should go talk to the kids. Like, you probably should have done that pre-fight, right? To see, she needs to see what's scaring them. So finally we get to meet the kids. So we now know their names: Jitter, Ransom, Deathstream, and then of course we already knew about Calico because the homeboy mentioned her name. Now she said that she's not a mutant, Calico, but I'm just like, your horse definitely is a mutant of some kind, right? So they explain how they had nowhere else to go, how they had no parents. Ransom was like, listen, I kind of just flipped the coin in either Brotherhood or X-Men, and it looks like X-Men won this one, so that's why we're here. But ultimately, like, these kids are desperate, right? So Wolverine, he asks one final question for the kids. He's like, okay, well, who is hunting you? But the girl mentions that it's the Hag, and that she's like, I don't even think that she's human. And then she mentions how she's hunting us. She's literally hunting all of us, meaning mutants, hunting us for bounty. So before we head back over to the Grymalkin Prison, because we're about to find this out, let's give you a little bit of context for you to see exactly who this is. So we pick up on a reading here from Professor Rex from his private journal, and it discusses a time where he met a girl, a time before Myra, a time before Lilandra, this tall, gorgeous blonde. She tells him her name is Sarah, asking him for help with something that she lost up in the tree. So she asks him for a boost, right? And she starts pressing upon him, and you can tell homeboy's like, I like this, but at the same time he's like, oh, this is awkward, right? So he does give her that lift, that little boost that she needs to be able to get that thing out of the tree. So when she does come down, he tells her, hey, my name is Charles, which she then says, hey, I already knew that. And she says, everyone says that you're a pagan, everybody says that you're a witch boy, which he responds back and is like, I am not. But then she responds back and says, well, I am. And I'm like, what do you mean there, Sarah? So clearly she is flirting with him, but at the same time, she's leaving some hints there as to who she really is. So to make it clear to him that she's making a pass on him, right? She's like, hey, it's local custom to buy a girl a hot cuppa when she's climbed up one side of you and then down the other. She a little freaky deaky, right? But she says, are you coming? So then later on, they go out for some tea, right? And she asks him to remove his hat. She asks him for the color of his hair. She then later on kisses his head. And I promise you there's a point to what I'm talking about here. So when we finally pan over to the Grymalkin Prison, we see the old Hag dropping off a mutant that we had talked about earlier, Fawn. And then she says, I've gone and brought you a prezi for your collection, Warden, because Karina likes to be called Warden for some particular reason. And then she says, tasty and fresh. So then Karina, she responds back and says to her, thank you for this gift, Sarah. And I'm like, what? This gotta be the same Sarah, right? My question is, like, how does she look this way right now? Was she always this way in disguise, or did something happen that changed her this way? Man, I can't wait to find this out, guys. Listen, check out our playlist here because we're gonna continue to keep on as we cover this series. We're gonna be throwing more videos here into this playlist. Also, as well, check out our videos that we have over here to the right so that you can keep up with some other content here that we do have on the channel. Like and subscribe for more here. Join the Discord. And as always, thanks so much for kicking it with Keepin It Comic. Bye.